It's really, really, really important for people to understand that, again, the laws in your state control. So, Googling what the law in Maryland is when you're sitting in Texas is not helpful for you. You need to understand the laws in your state. It's really important, especially if you live in a state that is community property state versus an equitable distribution state. I'm throwing big words out, but the reason for that is because there's a huge difference between how laws are applied to marital assets or debts or things like spousal support and child support. So if you are in the space of, I'm thinking about getting a divorce, use that time to educate yourself and do it before you even meet with a lawyer, right? So, there are tons of resources out there, whether that's, Grown Girl Divorce website, you can check out our resources available, but Googling your state information, again, you want to start with what your state says about certain things. So if you're concerned about your property, if you're concerned about child support, then start with what does the state say in the state by which I live, because that's going to help then guide the conversation when you meet with a lawyer. So these are things before you even hit the lawyer's door that you can already have kind of in place and knowing, right? So knowing and preparing yourself that when I meet with a lawyer, they may tell me it's going to take 6 months to a year to get divorced. I'm already mentally prepared knowing marathon, not a sprint, right? When you go in and you say, here are the things that I'm really concerned about, you've already mentally told yourself, okay, these 3 are not emergency, but maybe this one is. Again, before you even meet with a lawyer, you've mentally kind of prepared yourself for what their response is going to be. And then going in and showing this, person that you maybe intend to hire that I'm educated. I know what, at least a baseline of kind of what the law says. That's going to help you because that's going to tell the lawyer, I can't pull a fast one. I can't, try to manipulate and kind of, run something
Run some
by
game.
somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those things are important. That isn't to say that lawyers, always do that, but there are some out there who do. But you coming to the table and having at least a bare minimum of, here's my understanding of, the laws. Certainly, I recognize I don't know everything about it, but can you help explain these things to me? That's a real good way of starting out on a level playing field when you're in conversation, with lawyers. So I think those things are real good things to kind of start you with. And then the last piece of that is this is not a solo game. Okay. It's, you need support. And I often see people who come in and there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot going into the decision to get a divorce, or maybe it wasn't your decision and now you're angry, you're confused, and you've got a lot happening. Don't do this alone. It's not intended to be done alone. So by that, I mean, get help with a therapist, get help with, your spiritual advisor or your pastor. Go and get on a treadmill or hire a personal trainer or somebody to support you physically through this process. A divorce is all consuming if you allow it to be, and it really can impact you in ways that you don't otherwise expect. I've had several clients who gained a ton of weight. I've had several clients who've lost a ton of weight. I have people who had never been on anxiety medication. They get a divorce filing and all of a sudden, they need all kinds of medication. Get the support that you need so that you can be the best you through this marathon, right? Through this process, because it's really important to have that because it can make all the difference.